don't have to go out of the building to talk to people. A little bit about myself. I'm coming from Israel. I'm an entrepreneur since 2005. I do startup noodle. You see the logo here. I do consulting for companies, and I also partner with Steve for building mobile applications for startups and companies here in Beijing and around the world. Okay, so let's start. I'm talking about a 5-step process, which is creating content on a blog, then building follow-ups for that, acquiring the users. I'm gonna explain on each step separately. Find the users, getting their info, where they're hanging out, and then give them what they want, and so on and so forth. All of these tools are open tools. You can use them. The main thing I'm showing here is just put them all together. That's the main message. Okay. So these are all tools that I use. That's the way I do it. So for blog, of course, you've got WordPress, which is open source. You can use it. It's for free. And the reason I use it, it's very easy to use. And not the most, but one of the most valuable things is this plugin I'm using called Tweetily. This one, after posting a couple of posts, actually randomize your posts and put them on your Twitter account. And that's done automatically. And I discovered that for me, this one is the most useful for generating and bringing people out to my blog. This is what I use for Startup Noodle. People see my posts all the time, whenever I want, every couple of hours, and that brings a lot of traffic. So if you're talking about doing customer development, you're talking about a subject, start with a blog, put the content out there, and start getting the users in. Then you have, of course, autoresponder. Autoresponders are to build up your list. This is the form I have in my blog right now for the new ebook I have. Also, there are a couple of autoresponders. I'm using GetResponse, but there are other few. There are actually many. And this is for getting your first list, okay? It's for getting people interested, whoever just registered. These are your most valuable customers that are interested in the topic you're talking about. And then after you got the list and you've got the people coming to the blog, registering, and you want to launch your landing page, you can use this tool. This one's called LaunchRock. And what it aims is to it's just for launching products. You have a landing page, you can put in the basic information, you can put in a video. It's really helpful for convincing people to register for your alpha testing, beta testing, whatever, just before your launch. I use it as well. Now, here is my opinion where most of the magic happens. I don't know how many of you know this tool. This one is called Reportive. And what it does, it connects to your Gmail account. And whenever you've got an email of someone, you just put it and then you hover with the mouse on it and you get all the information, all their social network information. So imagine taking all those accounts from your lists and from your LaunchRock and then just going with them one by one and see where all your customers are hanging out, their Facebook profiles, their group, their LinkedIn groups, their Twitter accounts, everything. So you know exactly what they're talking about, you know how to get them, and then you should start and interact with them. And this is actually the next stage. That's step number 5. So it does take time. It does take time. I mean, it's not that this is a recipe for a 5-minute work, but this is a funnel to get them engaged and get them interested in your product. So what do? You discover where those people are using Reportive, and then you start posting your posts, the one you already have and the new one you're writing, in inside the groups and places where they're hanging out, which will bring in more people. And this is the process again. If you look at that, that's all the tools I'm using in each of those stages. And pay attention to the last stage. It says give them what they want in large reach. So that's what I mean by saying put the content inside the group you discovered your audience are hanging out in, and then put it back, bring them back into your blog. Then more people register. Then this one goes around and around. These are all the resources for what I spoke about. One more tool that I wanna mention. Many people don't know it. This one is called Early Bird, but this one is only relevant after you have an MVP. If you can launch something, so that tool helps you launch because it brings you new users to your product, and then what happens is that these are people who want to help you launch. So they give you feedback about your product, and they test it, and they try it, and then you can improve it. So this is also a really good one, but this one is only applies after you've got an MVP, after you've got something that is working. That's it. Thank you very much. Question time.
So, with LaunchRock, I can see that being really useful for getting people to register, but you've got to get people to your website. Can you talk about how that happens?
Yeah, so I started this process by engaging them around a certain subject, so whatever startup or idea that would be, you start engaging them through the blog and through the content you're putting in. Because at the end of the day, when you're developing something, you want to become an expert in that. So let's say you're doing something about education, and so you start posting about it and talking about it, and that will bring in more people. And those people eventually, from the blog or from your list, you can start, when you have that landing page on LaunchRock, just get them to that page to register. That's how I get them. Yeah, right.
If you were to do a Chinese language blog and you were targeting the 1.3 billion that might be here locally, do you think the tools would be different? Do you think that you would have to have a different approach, or is it pretty much the same approach, maybe different tools?
It's about the same approach. The only thing that I would worry about, maybe, and this depends on which WordPress or hosting you're using, that might be blocked, so you need to take care of that. And the other thing that I found is that Chinese people are not so much into, well, they're in LinkedIn, but of course not on Facebook and Twitter. I mostly use LinkedIn, by the way. So you might not find information on all of them. And from time to time, there are email accounts that I don't find information on people, but most, I'd say 80 to 90% of the times, there's some information so you can reach the person and find whatever is there on him. Yeah. That's it.
What would you say is the number one source of the most active, or people that are most engaged, the community building up? Which source of them, there's a place where you found these people that you're contributing the most?
For me specifically, for startup people, it's LinkedIn.
Some groups, or is it just anybody?
Well, on LinkedIn, you can register to a maximum of 50 groups. So I got a bunch of subject time around. That's the limit we have. Like those 50 groups on whatever subject you want. So I have about 30 on entrepreneurship. These are the ones I make most of the effort on. Actually, I'm outsourcing that with others.
In an environment when everyone is talking about content, I'm not sure that, granted there's niches out there, but I'm sure that, in the same way that you're talking about entrepreneurship on your blog, there's a ton of other people, there's millions of other people who have blogs about entrepreneurship. When we're talking about content and drawing users and customers that way, how do you make your content stand out? Or is there any tweak or anything special you think about when you're just coming up with your content?
So when I thought about starting Startup Rule about a year ago, and actually launched it in July, so I saw that there are many blogs about economy in China and like the big stuff going on in China, and even the tech scene. They are very they're talking about new companies, but they're not practical enough. So my niche is for being very practical on how entrepreneurship is done, and wants to learn from each post that is out there. That's the niche. I'm not going to talk about a new company that just launched here in Beijing or something, unless I can use this tool for something, for entrepreneurs to build something. That's how I do it.
And what can you talk a little bit about sharing content or like collaborations between content creators, if you've ever explored something like that and how that works?
Oh, yeah, it works all the time. There are guest posts, and I've been guest posting in other places as well. Actually, it's a pretty engaging and good way, because then you go to a larger audience. Yeah. There are other ways to do it. I mean, something I haven't looked into yet, but I'm certainly going to do in the close future. Is going to Quora as example. There are more people there. There are many questions about entrepreneurship in China. There are things I know about that I can contribute, and that also helps building the audience. Okay.
How do you go about like setting up one of those guest blogs?
Say it again?
How would you go about setting up a guest blog event or something? You know, it's a blog, it's like right posting your blog. Maybe you write up there. It's like, how does one go about it?
It's a research job to find who are the relevant ones, and by now I know the people at that arena, and some people already contact me and they want to guest post. So when you get your audience, it builds up. I mean, I meet more people and I know more people, but at the beginning it's a research and sending guest posts to blogs and hoping that they'd say, wow, cool stuff, we're going to publish that. This whole process takes time. I mean, it's not like a 5-minute thing. It's something to work on, but it's a good way to find your crowd.
What's the difference between early bird and
Lunch Rock. So Lunch Rock is only about landing page. You've got a landing page. You try to convert as many users as you can for your launch, and then when you launch, you have the emails. You can send the message. You just open whatever, and you start having users. While Early Bird is a very helpful community of people who are willing to help new startups test their product. So the not so good thing about it that this is not your target audience. It might be someone who just want to test their product and say cool, or say you need to improve that. But the good thing is that at least you have someone who's probably will give you some feedback. It's not like he's going to test it and then go away and you don't know why. So pros and cons. But this is only after you got an MVP. They won't put your page up if you don't have any product up. If you have just a Launch Rock page, I had the Launch Rock, but then when sending out the email, the thank you email for after they register on Launch Rock, then they got an email to register for a product, so that was okay. But usually what they expect to see is a real page with a product, and not just a Launch Rock page, landing page. You can do everything by yourself. It's just really fast and easy. You can, definitely can. They just give you the whole registration, everything is there. Putting in an image, a video, it's very easy. It's very fast.
You mentioned Odesk just in passing here, but it wasn't in your presentation. Can you talk a little bit about how you would use that and for what jobs you might use that for?
Yeah, so Odesk is a freelance market. There are people around the world there, different pricing, different jobs, different feedbacks. I use it for a very simple task, like posting the posts on LinkedIn groups, as example, setting up my newsletters. I found that you have to be very specific on the things that you want to use Odesk for. Again, it depends how much you pay and who you're handling with. But if you want to have a really, you're starting and you're really saving on your budget and you need people work for you for, I don't know, $2 an hour, then you have to be very specific and do like a step-by-step guidance for them to know, so they would know what you expect.
Is there a reason you chose Odesk instead of Elance or like another freelance website?
Yeah, I found it cheaper.
Yeah, I was just wondering about, I haven't used Launchrock, so I'm just wondering what sort of analytics they can provide you with. Do you see like how many hits you get, so you can look at your sign up to hit ratio? And I guess a wider question was, you didn't really talk very much about analytics. Which tools would you use for analytics?
So Launchrock gives you, unfortunately, very basic analytics, but it does give you the ratio of registration, so that's okay. But they're thinking about putting in also A/B testing for different titles and different images or whatever. So I hope hopefully that will come up soon. For analytics, I'm using Google Analytics, of course, great for me. Question? Okay, thank you very much.